My name is Godin, 35 years old. The $6,200 hit my sister's account while I was standing at the DMV, headphones in, a toddler screaming somewhere behind me, and my phone buzzing nonstop with Claire's messages. She kept sending photos like proof of concept, floral centerpieces, gold-rimmed plates, linen napkins folded into impossible shapes, a 3-tier cake that looked more like a wedding centerpiece than something meant for a backyard baby shower. She ended it with a heart emoji and a simple question: "Can you handle this part?" Then came the Venmo request. No please, no explanation, just a number and the assumption that I'd say yes. I didn't ask questions. I sent the money. It was her first baby. She'd told me she wanted me involved. I took that to mean included, not invoiced. I'd helped her before when our parents couldn't. College tuition once, covering rent during a rough patch, groceries when she said things were tight. I had the money, and I believed family helped family. I told myself this was just another version of that. 2 days before the shower, I was making dinner when my son, Tyler, wandered into the kitchen holding my phone. He's 11, quiet, brilliant in his own way, obsessed with drawing superheroes and recording strange little sound effects on GarageBand. He likes to explore buttons. He likes to listen. He asked me casually, "Mom, who's Hannah?" I didn't look up right away. I thought he'd stumbled onto a random voice memo or one of those half-saved notes apps collect over time. He didn't say anything else. He just handed me the phone and walked back to his room. I hit play. Claire's voice came through, sharp and unfiltered. "Make sure you tell Emily no kids. I know she'll ask. Her brat will ruin it. I'm serious." Then laughter. Another woman chimed in, someone I didn't recognize at first. Hannah, I think. Honestly, I don't even know why she'd bring him. He's so much. Claire again. Right. I don't want to spend the whole shower telling him to stop touching things. This needs to be elegant. Elegant. Like my son, my kind, gentle, neurodivergent boy who never raises his voice and apologizes when he thinks he's taken up too much space would somehow destroy the aesthetic of her Pinterest board. I stood there longer than I should have, phone still in my hand, the sound of sizzling oil forgotten on the stove. Then I went to Tyler's room. He was sketching a dog in a superhero cape, completely absorbed. I sat next to him and asked if he was okay. He didn't look at me right away. Eventually he said, "It's fine, Mom. I'll just stay home again." Again. That was the part that hurt the most. Birthday parties where his name wasn't on the cake, family photos where he was cropped out, holidays where kids were somehow welcome, but only certain ones. I'd seen it. I'd always seen it. I just kept telling myself they didn't understand him, that someday they'd try harder. I kissed his head and told him I'd be right back. In the kitchen, I called the vendor Claire had booked for the garden brunch. The contract was in my name. I made a few quiet changes, adjustments, not confrontations. Then I turned off my phone. When I turned it back on the next morning, it nearly froze. 61 missed calls, voicemails stacked on top of each other, texts from Claire, my mom, my dad, even numbers I didn't recognize. One message simply said, "You're seriously sick. She's pregnant." Apparently, the baby's shower didn't go quite as planned. They started calling the moment the sun came up. By 7 in the morning, my phone hadn't stopped vibrating once. Claire first, then my mom, then my dad, then cousins I hadn't spoken to in years. I let it sit on the counter while I made coffee, fed the dog, and watched Tyler eat cereal straight out of a mixing bowl on the couch, legs tucked under him, calm in a way that told me he felt safe. That mattered more than whatever chaos was unfolding on the other end of those missed calls. I listened to Claire's first voicemail out of curiosity, not obligation. It was pure performance, loud sobbing, dramatic pauses, the kind of crying meant to be overheard. She kept saying she couldn't believe I would do this to her, that this day was supposed to be special, that I'd embarrassed her in front of everyone. By the third voicemail, the tears were gone. Her voice hardened. She accused me of being cruel, of destroying the most important day of her life besides her wedding. She said people were whispering, asking questions, that I made her look crazy. I didn't respond. My mom's message came next. Her tone was careful, diplomatic, like she was trying to defuse a bomb without touching it. She said they didn't support what Claire said about Tyler, but canceling the event the day before without warning was too much. Then came the pivot. Claire was pregnant. "Think about the stress you've put her under. This isn't like you." No one asked why I did it. They all assumed it was revenge. Petty, emotional. No one stopped to consider that I was protecting my child. That was when I logged into the family joint account. It had started years ago after my dad's heart scare, meant to cover emergencies and shared expenses. Over time, it became a quiet safety net I funded more than anyone realized. Birthdays, repairs, groceries when my parents were short. I moved everything I'd contributed into a separate account and removed my name from the original. Then I logged into the family phone plan, the one I paid most of the bill for, and set up a new plan just for Tyler and me. New numbers, clean slate. I blocked Claire. They didn't stop. By late afternoon, my parents showed up at my front door. They knocked for almost 15 minutes while Tyler and I sat on the couch watching a documentary about space travel. He didn't even ask who it was. Eventually they left, but not before my dad texted me, "You're better than this. Don't let one mistake burn the whole bridge." It wasn't one mistake. It was every birthday party Tyler was excluded from. Every adults-only dinner where kids still somehow showed up, just not him. Every eye roll when he talked about his comic books. Every time my mom said he's just a little different, like it was a warning instead of a description. This wasn't a snap decision. I'd been holding that line for years. I just finally stopped pretending it wasn't there. A few days passed, the kind of days where nothing looks dramatic from the outside, but everything feels heavier inside your chest. Claire stopped calling, but my mom didn't. She switched strategies. Short texts at first, just checking in. "We should talk. Family is family." Then longer ones that read like drafts she kept rewriting, full of soft words that never quite landed on accountability. I didn't answer any of them. By the fourth day, the pressure changed shape. It wasn't just digital anymore. My parents came back to my house, this time earlier, like daylight would make it reasonable. I saw them through the window before they knocked, standing too close together, rehearsing something with their heads bent. I didn't open the door. Tyler was on the floor behind me, lining up toy planets in the order he'd memorized from a book, completely absorbed. I stayed where I was and let the knocking go unanswered. When they finally left, my dad texted again. "We're not here to fight. We just want to understand." That word, understand, felt hollow. Understanding had never been the issue. They heard Claire's voice on that recording just like I did. They heard her call my son a brat. They just didn't want to sit with what that meant. That evening, Claire tried something new. She sent me a long message about how she wanted Evelyn to have a cousin in her life. She said she didn't want a misunderstanding to ruin that. She used the word misunderstanding twice, like repeating it would make it true. She said she missed us. She said she wanted to fix this. There was no apology, no acknowledgement of what she'd said. Just a rush to move forward without stopping to look back. I replied with one sentence, "We're fine where we are." After that, the messages softened even more. Photos from the hospital when Evelyn was born. My mom sent one with a caption about how beautiful she was and how she'd need her aunt. I stared at that picture longer than I expected to. Then I locked my phone, turned off notifications, and made pancakes for dinner. Chocolate chips, whipped cream. Tyler laughed when I let him put too much syrup on his. 2 weeks of silence should have meant peace. In my family, it never does. Silence just builds pressure until someone decides it's time to pretend nothing happened. The invitation came in the mail a few days later, a pastel envelope with my name written in my mom's handwriting, careful and familiar. Inside was a card with gold trim and soft script. "Please join us in celebrating Evelyn's arrival. A private welcome brunch for family and close friends. Sunday at noon. Claire's house. Dress code garden casual." I flipped it over. No mention of kids. That night, Tyler saw the envelope on the counter. He looked at it for a moment and then asked, "Am I allowed to go to this one?" I asked him if he wanted to. He shrugged and said he didn't want me to be alone. I didn't sleep much after that. Something felt off. Not dramatic, just wrong. Like the quiet before someone changes the rules without telling you. I didn't want Claire controlling the story anymore. Showing up felt risky, but disappearing again felt like letting them decide what my silence meant. Then, at 10:40 p.m., the night before the brunch, my phone buzzed with a message from someone I didn't expect. It was Claire's old college roommate. We hadn't spoken in over a year. "Hey, you didn't hear this from me, but there's a sign at the brunch entrance that says no kids under 12. Just thought you'd want to know." She sent a photo. It was taken at night, but it was clear enough. An easel sign next to a balloon arch. Big block letters printed neatly. "No children under 12. Thank you for understanding." Tyler was 11. I didn't reply. I didn't call anyone. I just closed the message and started packing a small overnight bag. At 7:30 the next morning, I told Tyler we were going on a surprise trip. I didn't frame it as an escape or a protest. I didn't mention the brunch or the sign or the way my sister kept trying to rewrite the rules. I just said we were getting out of town for a day. His shoulders relaxed immediately, like his body already knew this was the right choice. We drove 2 hours north to a town he'd never been to, rented a small Airbnb above a bakery, and started the day with donuts still warm from the oven. Chocolate glaze for him, plain for me. He smiled the whole time. We wandered through shops that sold handmade toys and postcards. We went to a small museum that happened to have a temporary dinosaur exhibit, and Tyler lit up in a way I hadn't seen in weeks, animated, asking questions, correcting the placards, telling a volunteer about his favorite species like they were old friends. That night, we stayed over, ordered pizza, and watched a movie curled up on a couch that smelled faintly of cinnamon. I turned my phone off for the full 36 hours. When I turned it back on the next evening, the screen almost glitched. Over 100 notifications, missed calls, texts, group messages, even tags on Facebook. The first thing I saw was a live video someone had uploaded from the brunch. Claire was standing in her backyard in a pale yellow dress, holding Evelyn like she was something sacred. Soft instrumental music played in the background. Guests stood in a semicircle, nodding as Claire gave a speech. She said she forgave the hurt and the silence. She said family doesn't abandon each other over misunderstandings, especially when there's a child involved. People applauded. Someone said she was strong. She had turned my absence into a redemption arc for herself. Another video followed, posted later and deleted within the hour, but not before it reached me. It showed Hannah holding a mimosa, laughing with 2 other women. Honestly, Tyler's probably better off not being here. It's a lot. I mean, it's a baby brunch, not a daycare. They laughed like it was obvious. I watched it twice, saved it, didn't respond. My mom texted that night. Claire really tried. It was beautiful. I wish you'd been there. Then another message followed. She still wants to make things right. She even said she wants Tyler to meet Evelyn soon. They still didn't get it. They thought this was a standoff, like we were both waiting to see who would cave first. They didn't realize I wasn't negotiating. I was done. By Monday, the video had spread further than Claire expected. Someone screen recorded it and shared it in a local moms group with a caption about how neurodivergent kids are treated when they don't fit an aesthetic. Comments poured in. Claire's Instagram comments were limited. Her Pinterest boards disappeared. Even the gender reveal post was gone. I hadn't said a word. Still, Claire never messaged me directly. My mom did. A long, rambling text this time, cycling through concern, frustration, guilt, and nostalgia. She said everyone had made mistakes. She said Claire was under pressure and never meant to hurt Tyler. She said family was complicated and needed grace. She never once said I was right to protect my son. Tyler was thriving, sleeping better, talking more. One night while I folded laundry, he asked, "Do you think it's okay if we don't go back to Nana's house ever again?" I told him yes. He nodded like that answer settled something deep inside him. The final push didn't come from Claire, it came from my dad. He asked me to meet him for coffee, just the 2 of us. No Claire, no mom, no group chat. I agreed because I wanted to believe, just for a moment, that he might finally say something different. We met at a cafe we used to go to when I was a kid. He ordered me a hot chocolate without asking, the same way he used to when I was 10, like muscle memory had taken over. We made small talk for a few minutes, the weather, traffic, how work was going. Then he leaned forward and said what he'd come to say. "Your mom wants things to go back to normal." I asked him what he wanted. He said he was tired of choosing between his daughters. He said Claire was having a hard time, that she felt ganged up on and isolated. He said Evelyn would grow up feeling the tension, and that wasn't fair to a child. Then he lowered his voice and said, "Just say you overreacted, even if you don't believe it. It'll calm things down." That was the moment I understood. He wasn't asking me to heal anything. He was asking me to disappear quietly so everyone else could stay comfortable. I asked him if he'd listened to the recording Tyler found, the one where Claire called him a brat. He shifted in his seat and said something about context, about stress, about Claire not meaning it that way. I stood up before he finished his sentence. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't argue. I just left the hot chocolate untouched on the table and walked out. That night, I sent one message to the family group chat. No emotion, no explanations. From now on, communication with me will be through email only. Tyler and I won't be attending any family gatherings, including holidays. I'm done pretending this is fixable. I wish you well. Claire didn't respond. My mom sent a thumbs down emoji. My dad said, "This is a mistake." Maybe it was, but it was mine to make. I blocked them all after that. Emails came anyway. Weekly updates from my mom about Evelyn, photos, milestones, messages clearly designed to keep a thread attached. Claire sent one about how sad it was that her daughter wouldn't know her cousin because of adult egos. I stopped reading after the second week. They weren't trying to rebuild anything. They were just moving forward with the assumption that I'd eventually catch up. 3 months passed and nothing happened. No drama, no new attempts, just quiet. Then one day I noticed something small. There was a birthday coming up for one of Tyler's younger cousins. We always got invited, even if it was just obligation. This time, nothing. No card, no text, no pastel flyer taped to the mailbox. Tyler didn't notice, but I did. I looked at the empty spot on the fridge where their invitations used to hang, smiled, and went back to making dinner. Later that week, an old coworker texted me out of the blue. So sweet that you finally reconnected with your family. Claire's baby party looked beautiful. I saw it on your mom's page. You guys are all back together. I didn't understand at first. Then she sent a screenshot. It was a group photo from Evelyn's first birthday. Pastel balloons, a bunny-shaped cake, Claire in a white dress. My mom's caption read, "Grateful to have most of the family together today." We missed a few, but hearts were full. No mention of us by name. No acknowledgement we'd ever been invited. Just a clean omission. A soft edit that made it look like we'd simply chosen not to show up. That was their new version of the story. I didn't reply. I didn't correct anyone. I just sat on the couch while Tyler hummed in the other room, building something out of Legos, completely at peace. And then, without warning, I laughed. Not bitter, not sad, just genuinely amused that they thought I still cared enough to be rewritten. They wanted a narrative where I was absent but still tethered, still waiting. What they didn't understand was that I hadn't gone quiet. I had left. There's a difference. One means you're still standing in the hallway, hoping someone calls you back inside. The other means you've walked out the front door and locked it behind you without looking back. That night, Tyler asked if we could bake cookies. We put music on, danced around the kitchen, made a mess of flour on the floor. He told me I was the best mom ever. I told him I was trying. And for the first time in a long time, that felt like enough. The quiet didn't feel temporary anymore. It settled into our lives the way good routines do, slowly, without asking permission. Weeks passed, then months, and nothing came crashing through the silence to demand my attention. No emergencies disguised as family concern. No guilt-laced updates. No invitations with invisible conditions attached. Just days that began and ended without bracing for impact. Tyler changed in ways that were subtle but unmistakable. He stopped asking questions before speaking, stopped checking my face to see if something he wanted would inconvenience someone else. He left his drawings on the fridge without asking if they were good enough. He signed up for a robotics club at school on his own, brought home a permission slip already filled out, and told me he'd figured it out. I watched him become more himself once he no longer felt like a guest in his own family. I changed too. I stopped explaining my choices to people who didn't live with the consequences. I stopped rehearsing what I would say if someone asked why we weren't around anymore. The answer didn't matter because the question wasn't being asked in good faith. Silence, it turns out, can be a boundary just as firm as words. Every now and then, a ripple reached us. A mutual acquaintance mentioning something they'd seen online. A distant relative sending a cautious message that went unanswered. Once I ran into someone from my childhood at the grocery store who asked how my sister's baby was doing. I said I hoped she was well and kept walking. That was it. No story, no context, no correction. I found myself noticing how much energy I had for things that used to feel exhausting. I volunteered at Tyler's school without scanning the room for familiar faces. I made plans months in advance without worrying about who might be offended. I hosted dinners where laughter didn't come with side glances. Our home became what it had always tried to be. Steady, predictable, safe. One afternoon, while cleaning out a drawer, I found the folded letter my dad had written months ago, the one I'd tucked away without knowing why. I read it again, slower this time, and saw it for what it was. Not an invitation back. A request to keep things comfortable for everyone else. I didn't feel angry reading it. I felt grateful that I could see it clearly now. I tore it up and threw it away without ceremony. The last email from my mom came and went without being opened. I noticed the sender, felt nothing, and deleted it. That was new. Not numbness, but resolution, the kind that doesn't need reinforcement. One evening, Tyler asked if we could plan a trip for his birthday, just the two of us. Somewhere with trains and museums and good sandwiches. He said it like it was a given that we'd decide together. I said yes immediately. He smiled, satisfied, and went back to his room humming. Later that night, I stood at the kitchen window, watching the streetlights come on. I thought about the version of myself who sent $6,000 without question, who swallowed comments for the sake of peace, who believed love meant endurance. I didn't feel embarrassed for her. I felt protective. She did the best she could with what she knew then. This was better. Not louder, not more impressive, just better. I didn't rebuild bridges. I didn't burn them either. I simply stopped standing on them, waiting for someone else to decide whether I was worth meeting halfway. Tyler grew up a little taller in the absence of that waiting. I breathed easier. The house held us without tension. Peace didn't announce itself. It stayed. And I let it.